Hey y'all, it's Allie. Welcome to Little Hill Homestead. If you happen to live anywhere like we do, right now is cranberry season. And so you can get cranberries, whole, beautiful cranberries. This is pretty. I love the color. For a pretty good price. I know I got mine at Costco. I got 2 pounds of it, which is the 8 cups I need for my recipe, for $3.99. Azure, nope, not Azure. You can get frozen ones from Azure. Aldi has bags for 99 cents right now, as well as I looked at Kroger, y'all. They wanted $2.50 for the same bag that Aldi was doing for $1. And Costco was cheaper. So we're going that route. Anyways, I'm going to show you really quickly how I make basic cranberry sauce, a couple options that you can switch it up with, and I'm going to show you how to water bath can it if you're interested in that. So let's get started. I'm having one of those days. You know those days where it's like, oh, it's 2:30 and you meant to do this at 8:30 this morning and you just got no motivation, and like one of those days. Okay. Anyways, I have a big pot right here. How big is this? Yeah, I don't know. It's a pot. Is it? It's 8 quart. It's a big pot. It's just a pot, and I have a spoon because I was prepared this time, you guys. I never have my spoon. So for this recipe, I'm doing 8 cups of cranberries. If you don't have 8 cups, if you have 4 cups, if you have 2 cups, just adjust your quantities. It ends up the same in the end. You're just totally fine. So I have basically need equal parts of water and sugar that are half the amount of your total cranberries. So today I'm using 8 cups of cranberries, 4 cups of sugar, and 4 cups of water. If you have 2 cups of cranberries, you would do 1 and 1. If you have 4 cups of cranberries, 2 and 2. You see where you're going with that? So I'm just going to add my water right into my pot. Apparently I talked too long, you guys. Duh, she already knows that. I'm going to add 4 cups of just regular old sugar to that. I'm going to stir that just a little bit to kind of get it incorporated a little bit as it starts to warm up. Now, there's a lot of different options here, you guys. You can add orange zest. You can add orange juice. You could add a cinnamon stick. You could add cloves. You can add allspice. You can add nutmeg. You want spicy, think of like pumpkin pie spice type spices. Just, you can get kind of crazy with your cranberry sauce. Some people do lemon. Some people do oranges. Some people do, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. I like to do a pretty basic cranberry sauce. This is what I grew up doing. My mom always had this. And then, of course, she would always have like the canned that still looked like a can after it came out of a can. Delicious stuff. Ocean spray. Always had to buy, the real kind, right? But in our household, we try not to buy as many commercial products as we can. And so this is something that we can make now while we get our cranberries on a really good price. And we have enough for the full year. So if you want to have this other times during the winter, it's a nice little treat to have something a little more fresh on your shelf. That's something kind of interesting. Maybe not your normal, oh, go grab yourself a can of peas for this winter. Cranberries are not a substitute for peas, just so you know that I know. What is she talking about, you guys? So our sugar is just about dissolved. And then I'm going to tell you how we're switching ours up a little bit this year. We've done it before and we enjoy it. So 8 cups of cranberries going in. I rinsed these off really well. And you want to look to make sure that there aren't any mushy ones. If there are, just take them out and chuck them. No big deal. So those are going into our pot. They're just such a beautiful color, right? Such a pretty color. So you guys know we just did our Azure Standard haul, and I bought 20 pounds of pears that I didn't really have a plan for. So I'm going to be adding pears to ours this year to make a cranberry pear sauce. We're going to use this for Thanksgiving, but also we're canning it for the year. You can add apples if you prefer. If you have apples and not pears, you can add that. If you want to add blueberries, you can add blueberries. Think of the fruit options that you may want to add. For me, I had pears. So I cubed them up, tiny, like that is a piece of pear. I just cubed them up really small. I have 3 cups. You don't want to do too much because cranberries naturally have pectin. And so they're going to gel up and make like thick cranberry sauce. If you add too much non-pectin fruit to it, like blueberries, it won't set quite the same. It'll just be a little runnier. So for my pears, I'm doing 3 cups, And that will use up some of the, I left the peels on, by the way, because I'm lazy. But I already figured there's enough cranberry peels in here that like you have like some texture going on. It's fine. If you want to add a cinnamon stick and make this more like a spiced version, you can throw some ginger in there. You could throw cinnamon in there, some cloves, nutmeg, allspice, whatever kind of vibe you want to go with, put it in there. I'm trying to think of what else we've done over the years. Blueberries, we've done pears, we've done apple. Apples is really good too. But this is what we're doing this year because this is what we had. So what you're going to do is I have this on high. I'm waiting for it to come to a boil. My water bath canner is just starting to come to a boil too. So we should be time-wise pretty dang good today. We'll see. But anyways, do you guys eat cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving? U.S. Thanksgiving? Or if you're in Canada, what do you guys eat? Do you eat cranberries? Because it's kind of before the season for you guys because your stuff's in like October 11th or something, right? So one of our kids moved to Canada and we were laughing because we said, hey, are you going to come back for Thanksgiving? Well, my kid did not realize that U.S. Thanksgiving and Canada Thanksgiving are different times. And he's like, wait, today is. And we were like, no. Hello. So we're still learning this whole international thing. It's been quite fun. But anyways, what else is happening in Little Hill Homestead land? Let's see. I've converted our upstairs bedroom. It's a guest room. We use it for guests, but I've moved all my sewing stuff up there. So it's given me a resurgence to get up there and finish some quilts. That's been fun. And our oldest son just went to Hawaii with his girlfriend and came back engaged. So we knew in advance. It wasn't like totally shocking or anything like that. So in the next year to year and a half, there's going to be a wedding going on at our household. So that's kind of a fun thing. But just life, you guys, right? Isn't it? It just flies. But and then we've met a couple people in real life that met us on the channel and like-minded people. So that's been kind of fun. It's been a ride, you guys. And our 1-year anniversary is coming up. I'm trying to think if I can do something cool for our 1-year anniversary, like recreate our first video because it's probably pretty bad. We've come a long way. I don't know. Anyways, woof. She needs some energy in her life, y'all. Anyways, our cranberries are just starting to sort of bubble. What are we going to do here? Okay. This needs to boil for about 15 minutes. When it comes to a hard boil, like rolling good boil, set a timer for 15 minutes. That's going to make all these cranberries pop. The skins on them will pop, basically, and that's how you get cranberry sauce. It's the easiest thing in the world to make, even though I'm at 8 minutes, I've gotten nowhere. That's a me problem. But once it comes to boil, 15 minutes. Then you have options. Are you a gelled cranberry person? Do you like whole cranberries? Do you like it to not resemble a cranberry and just be like a hint of flavor of cranberry? Well, if you are not a big cranberry fan, like chunks of cranberry, once this comes off that 15-minute boil, you're going to hit it with an immersion blender. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can scoop it into your regular blender. Just be really careful because it is going to be hot. So don't burn yourself. But if you are looking for make-ahead Thanksgiving Day sides, this one can be made up to a week in advance. And it will just chill in your fridge. It actually can last 2 weeks, but the freshness starts to go over time. So what else do I have to say about cranberries? I don't know. They're kind of tart by themselves. I'm not a fan of them by themselves. When we were kids, my mom would make us sit and string cranberries and popcorn to put on our Christmas tree. Don't torture your children, because we would sit for hours and hours and hours, and I swear we only got like this far. And she was so sweet. She'd still put it on the tree, but it was like a 4-foot section of the tree and nothing else was done. Like, come on. What are your fun holiday things you guys have coming up? Because I feel like once you get to Thanksgiving, it like all of a sudden, boom, you're in January. Like the month of December kind of just flies. Like we're going to start decorating for Christmas pretty soon around here. And like I said, we have our kids are all going to be here for Thanksgiving, but not for Christmas. So we might do some of our Christmas stuff at Thanksgiving time. My brain today. I'm just waiting for water to boil, you guys. That's it. Usually you would cut, but instead she's going to Oh, ginger is the other thing you can add to this. If you have fresh ginger and you want to take some chunks Don't shred it up. Just put them in like big cut pieces, so that you can pull them out. Same with cinnamon sticks. Same with like cloves or allspice or nutmeg or any of that. You can pull it out when you're done. You can make one of those little spice bags, because you don't really want that stuff floating around when you're eating it at the end. But okay, I'm gonna go let this boil, and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like at the 15-minute mark. While this is doing its thing, I'm gonna go and I have jars. I ran them through the dishwasher on the sterilized cycle. I'm gonna get my jars pulled out. I have my water bath canner going, and I'm gonna give you guys just a quick rundown of like how to water bath can. But apparently nothing is quick today, because again, we're now at 11 minutes and I've done nothing. What is happening today? It's just one of those days. Just one of those days. I'm not gonna sing, especially not that song. Anyways, I'm gonna just keep stirring this. Okay, our water is just starting to boil. They're not cherries, for the love of Lord. Our cranberries are just starting to pop. You'll hear them go, like you'll hear them. You can't miss it. They're just starting to pop. The skins are cracking, and they're starting to break down beautifully, and they're doing exactly what I'm hoping to do. I would not set a timer yet, because I don't see them like boiling yet. But I did want to tell you that one thing I do, and I don't do this every time, is add a little bit of honey. I love the way that honey tastes with cranberries. I did add sugar for the sweet part, but if you want the honey flavor, I kind of just drizzle. It's probably a tablespoon. Honestly, it's not a lot. It's just enough to kind of go, hey, I think there might be a little honey in there. Normally I use Azure. We're trying to get through this stinking little bear that we bought for way too much money when we ran out of Azure honey. But okay, 2 fun facts. One, somebody was asking me, this is not a fun fact, this is just a fact. Somebody was asking me of the Azure honeys, if you were buying one most like what you would buy at the grocery store, which honey would that be from Azure? I would definitely say it's going to be the orange blossom. That is the most like a commercial honey to me. Kind of a more intense flavor. There you go. The other thing I'm so excited about is my Azure video. I was complaining, as I always do, about not having a Trader Joe's anywhere local to us. It's over an hour drive. I never want to go up there, but I am a huge fan of Trader Joe's. It's from my hometown in California. My grandma actually helped the very first Trader Joe's ever get built in our little town. So it's like one of those weird little, weird loves. But anyways, Laura, who's one of you guys from the channel, reached out to me on our Facebook chat and was like, did you hear? She lives local to us as well. And she's like, did you hear that Trader Joe's is actually coming to a city right by us? And I was like, wait a minute, did you just make my life? So sure enough, I go onto this website that she's told me about, and it's not like confirmed, but it's pretty much confirmed. They're building a Trader Joe's. It will be maybe 10 minutes from our house, 15 minutes from our house to get to Trader Joe's. But of course, notoriously, they picked the worst parking lot in the entire city. Like, if you could drive an hour from here, this is probably the worst intersection and parking. But that's just, I don't care. I'm going. I'm excited. Anyways, I'm going to set my timer, because right now, so thank you, Laura, because you just totally made my life. I even woke my husband up and was like, baby love, guess what? And my son was over that night, and I was like, Garrett, they're putting Trader Joe's. And I don't think they have the love for it like I do, but summer 2025, baby. Let's go. Anyways, I'm going to set a timer now, because our cranberries are just starting to pop. So what I do, and you can see it, it's good boil now. It's starting to get like foamy on the top. That's when I set my timer. And I'm not going to set the timer like I normally would on you know what her name is. I stopped doing that because it was torturing you guys. So 15 minutes, you just let this go. It'll continue to pop and break down and do delicious, beautiful things. And gosh, look at that color. Talk about fall. If you feel like it's bubbling too much, go ahead and turn your temperature down. But I just let it do its thing. I'm going to get my jars ready. I am doing pint jars. Boom. I'm not sure how many it's going to fill. It depends on how many pears I end up adding when I break it down. If I leave the cranberries more whole, blah, blah, blah. I usually do it in smaller jars, but I'm almost out of jars for the year. Luckily, we've gone through some, so I have some pints again. But 15 minutes for pints. If you're doing a half pint, thank you. I know what they're called now. If you're doing half pints, it's 10 minutes in water bath. So I'm getting my jars pulled together, my rings, my lids, my bottles, all the stuff. So 15 minutes, we'll be back. Okay, while our cranberries are boiling, I thought, perfect time, one, to finish. Well, I did a couple things. I went and watered the garden, and it was just like, 18 things of garlic. It's not fancy at this point. I finished some more of my iced coffee. Anyways, I figure why not walk you through a couple of the things that you kind of have to do water bath canning. So, food. You need some food to water bath can. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
You need food to water bath can. It's kind of useless to water bath can if you don't have a food to put in the jars. Just saying. This is the kind of mood I'm in today. How are you liking it? Dry humor, I guess. No. You need jars. There's a couple options on jars. The number one sizes are quarts, which are bigger than this, pints, which are these, and half pints. You can get half gallons. I don't ever can in those. They're just too big. I really just use quarts, pints, and these. And quarts, honestly, I don't use all that much unless it's like soup or, I don't know, high quantity, feeds the whole family type stuff. But for jams, jellies, things like this, canned beans, I use pint jars and half pints. Those are basically the ones I use the most. Anyways, you can get them at thrift stores. You can get them on Facebook Marketplace. Post to your family like, hey, do any of you guys have old jars lying around? I've received a few over the years from coworkers and family members and stuff like that. Here's the problem. When you gift stuff, food to people, they always assume that the jars belong to them now. I have lost so many jars because people don't ever throw a jar away. If you get one from like as a gift from somebody, what I like to say is you should refill it and return it. That's the nicest thing to do. But you know, anyway. Jars. Rings. These are rings. They're the piece that goes on top of a jar. Usually it comes with them. If you get them at thrift stores, usually it does not. They're cheap. You'll have a billion of them lying around over the years. And then the last thing you need are your lids. Lids are the little like aluminum-y thingy. It's got wax around the ring on the back. That is what is actually going to seal your food in there and make it airtight. There's a million, well, there's two types of jars. Let me show you. There's a regular mouth, which is this one, which is my drinking cup today. This is a wide mouth. So there's two different varieties. You just need to make sure that your lid and your ring match up with which style you're using. You need some kind of funnel or something to get your hot food into your jars. You sterilize your jars. You can either boil them in hot water. You can run them through your dishwasher. You can do whatever. I do that earlier in the day, so these are actually cold again. And then when I can them, it doesn't matter that they're hot or cold. I haven't found an issue with that, but I always stick a towel or something underneath them just because we have granite. It gets really cold. And if I'm putting hot food in there, it makes me worried that it's going to crack it. Let me stir my cranberries. They're beautiful. The other thing that you need is some way to get the jars out of the hot water. And so these are called jar lifters. You can get them at Walmart, same with this. Don't get fancy. You don't need fancy, you guys. Canning is something your grandma did. So think like a lot of people then used what they had, right? So you don't need to run out and buy the fanciest of everything for canning. It's just kind of pointless. Anyways, these are jar lifters. They look like you can use them two ways. You cannot. The rubbery silicone part, that is actually going to go around your jar. And then this part that looks like a piece of pipe, that is where your hand goes. The easiest way to use them, some people use it like this. I have found that if I kind of take these two fingers like this and then grip here, that's the easiest way for me to use it. And you basically just wrap it around your jar. This little lip where it's glass just hooks around there. That's the easiest way to get them in and out of the water. What else, you guys? That's pretty much it. Oh, you need a canner of some kind, depending on what type of canning you are doing. I originally started with a very big pot that my mother-in-law gave me. It was, it's honestly probably 70 years old at this point, and it was just a deep pot. So when you put jars in it, they went all the way under the water. I didn't have anything to put across the bottom because you don't want your jars to sit directly on your pot or pan. You need something underneath it. So originally I would put dish towels underneath it. I've bought like foil wadded up underneath it. They sell these rubber things you can get at Walmart now. Those can sit on the bottom. Over the years, use what you have. There you go. This is a Presto canner. I do not remember the size. It is actually a pressure canner. But it's nice and thin aluminum, boils quickly. And so I use it for water bath canning. All that I do is for pressure canning, you have something called the jiggler that sits on this little vent pipe basically on top of here. when you're pressure canning, you lock the lid on so that it can't come off. It builds pressure, and then you put the jiggler on there, and it basically locks the air in. And then you have a pressure pot. That's how your food cooks. When I'm water bath canning in it, I fill it with a whole bunch more water so your jars are fully underwater, and I don't lock it, basically. My husband always walks in like, what is she talking about? Useful information, you guys. But that is what we're going to use for water bath canning today is just my Presto canner, but I'm not using it for pressure cooking. I will do a video on pressure cooking using an electric and a stovetop. I have both now. I like both. So, but this is what we're doing today. I have a minute left. Then I'm going to bring my cranberries over and show you guys how we're going to actually can them. And then I'll show you how to water bath can them. I'm going to go finish my coffee now. Okay, I'm back. I decided that I'm not going to run the immersion blender, the blender through mine. It's pretty jelly looking. Yeah, there's still cranberries in there. I am going to take my potato masher. I just have a cheapy one. It's just a plastic one. Just pop it a few times. I want pears to still be somewhat noticeable in there, but I want my cranberries to be at least all sort of mutilated. I don't like full cranberries in mine. That's just not my jam, but you do you, right? As we always say here at Little Homestead, you do you. So I'm just going to pop this a couple times just to get some of those big cranberries broken apart. If you like a whole, leave a hoe. Leave it. Oh, goodness. She's losing her mind, y'all. Oh. So, you need a ladle to get said food into said jar. This is not fancy. Like I said, these are room temperature jars. They're not hot. And all I'm going to do is ladle my cranberry sauce into my jars. Typically, like I said, I would do smaller jars. So I'll just make sure that we do a couple meals in a row that both use this cranberry sauce so it doesn't go to waste. But I need some small jars. I'm waiting for some good deals. It seems like some people find good deals. I'm not around here. People can too much in the South to ever find a good deal on one. I was super sad because a couple years ago I ran over to Ollie's which is like a Big Lots type of store down here in the South. Ran over there because they had canning jars on a really good deal. And then when I got there, they were very, very thin glass jars. So I got some and they just didn't perform very well. So I think I finally ended up getting rid of all those, but great for other things, but not for canning. So all I'm going to do is put all of our cranberry sauce into our jars. It will thicken up as it cools. It will not stay this thinned out. Think of like when you do canning of jams and stuff like that. It's always thinner and then it always thickens out. I bring it to the little ring at the top. That's my head space at the top. That's kind of where I aim for. I'm hoping that we have enough to fill. I'm going to do the pour method now that I'm farther down. I'm hoping I have 6. We'll see. Looks like I'm going to end up with 5 and a little, but what I'm going to do is probably just not water bath can that last one, and we'll just eat it for dinner. We'll see how full it gets. Yeah, it'll only end up at half. So we ended up with 5 jars, 5 big jars. So if you had done smaller ones, you would have ended up with like a 10 or 11, which that's not bad at all, actually, for what we just did. That's enough. You think about that. If I did 10 or 11 of these and we ate cranberry sauce once a month for the entire year, I'd be set till next year for the most part. So that's not too shabby. I'm going to save this one, like I said, just to the side. It's just going to be for our dinner tonight. And so I don't need a whole lot of it. Now, I need a paper towel with just a touch of water on it. I'm putting some water in my pot because jelly will get stuck to your pot. So I just take my wet paper towel and make sure there's no gel of any kind on the top of your jars and just wipe them off so that we're good and clean. Then we're going to take those little silver lids. These are gold. Why did I say silver? I don't know. And we're just going to place them right on top. 5. And then for our rings, we're doing what's called fingertip tight. And a lot of people this confuses because they're like, what does that mean when you say fingertip tight? So all I do is put it on there. I spin it in a circle. Like basically it's on, you know when you can spin it backwards to make sure it lines up? I get it to where I can't spin it freely right now, which is 2 fingers, I will grab the jar and I will barely spin it, maybe not even a quarter of a turn, to make sure that the ring's on tight now, but not tight. Let me show you one more time. Do it just kind of free form. When you can't spin it without the jar wanting to go, see what I'm talking about? I will grab the jar and I will give this maybe not even a quarter turn, less than a quarter of a turn, maybe a sixth of the jar turn. One more, then we're good. Same thing. See how it starts to spin? That's how you know that it's naturally on there. Then grab your jar and do a sixth of a turn. That's it. I have a little more gel that came on the inside of here, so we're going to wipe that down a little bit. All right, that is it. We have our 5 jars. They're ready to go into the pot. So our pot of water started boiling. So my pot I've used so many times, it has a water line in it from where I know like I need to fill it to that line, and then I know my jars will be covered. So we should be good. If not, you can start an electric kettle to the side so that you have hot water you can pour over it if needed. So I just lift the lid away from myself to release all that steam because I don't want it to hit me in the face. It is really, really hot. I'm gonna set that in my sink just for a second while I get the jars into our water. And remember, use the one end that looks like little pipes, not the silicone edge, and lift these into our water. So when I bought the electric canner, or the Presto cooktop canner, pressure canner, it does have on the base of it a little aluminum sheet, ring, circle thing, so that my jars don't sit on the bottom. Like I was saying, you don't want your jars to ever sit directly on the bottom of a pot. Well, if you buy a commercial one, it's going to have a thing that just sits in the bottom of there. I'll show you another time when it's not hot. All right, so our jars are just covered. These are pint jars. They're going to go for 15 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes. I know my water is fully boiling. If your water's not boiling, bring it to a boil and then set it for 15 minutes. You turn it off, and then 5 minutes later, you can pull them out. That's where we are. I'm going to go set a timer. And now I'm going to go do some dishes while my stuff is boiling away. We'll be back. Okay, our timer went off, and I turned off the pot, the heat. My goodness gracious, I'm telling you guys, it's a rough day. Turn off the heat. It's been sitting there for about 5 minutes, and it's time to pull our jars out. So again, using the correct end of your lifter, you're just going to lift your jars out. Have a place, I have a towel sitting right here. Have a place that you're ready to go to take them. So I'm just going to pull them out and set them over here. If you guys ever have questions about canning, I'm not a master by any means, but if you ever have questions, let me know. I feel like I've done it for enough years now that I might skip steps because I just assume people would know. If I do that, just say, hey, lady, the heck, man? Can you explain this to me? No, I'm just kidding. Say it nicely and I'm good to go. But just ask. I'm always here for you guys if you need anything. My email is below. It's around. You can always find us on Facebook and Instagram. We answer all those messages as well. So our jars are now out. They will sit here and they will do the ping as they cool down. What the ping is on the top of any jar, except this one right here, it has a piece right here in the middle that if you push, it will go down, right? If it does not seal, it's popped up. If it seals, it sucks all the air out and it pushes that little indentation down. And as it does that, it goes bing. It's every canner's favorite sound to hear. Sometimes if it's very, very hot liquid or big jars, it'll take a whole lot longer to do it. Usually things like cranberries or jam, smaller jars, they will ping pretty quickly. If after 24 hours you have one that has not sucked down the air and it still is loose, just go ahead and pop it in the refrigerator and make that the first jar you use. If it's a meat product, I would not wait 24 hours though. There you go. So this is the one that we had that was just a little bit of leftover. I wanted to give a little try for you guys. It's starting to thicken up, but it is still pretty warm. So the consistency is pretty chunky. It'll thicken up to be more jelly-like as it cools. So we'll get there, but let's give it a whirl. It's very sweet. You taste the pear. You can feel the texture of the pear skins. Last time I used pears, I peeled them. If you're not a fan of skin, peel your fruit. But overall, I would redunk my spoon. But overall, it's delicious. It's nice and sweet. Cranberries can tend to be really zingy and tangy. It has a touch of that, but not overkill. It does taste more like a cranberry pear sauce. It's delicious. So there you go. That is our recipe. I'm going to pop this one in the fridge. We're using this one for dinner tonight. I'll have the recipe below. We always take the time. If you hit below, it says description, I think is what it says. If you click that, it drops down, and usually right at the top, I have the recipe for whatever it is that we are making. Below that, we have our Amazon storefront, so you guys can find the gadgets and things we use in our kitchen or things that we recommend on Amazon from some of our videos. We've got our mailing address, we've got our email address, we have our Amazon wish list is down there if you want to send us something. We've got all kinds of stuff down below there. So our Azure link, if you're interested in Azure, is below. Our ButcherBox link is below if you're interested in ButcherBox. There's all kinds of information in our description. So there you guys go. But the recipe will be below for these guys. So let me know if you make them. Let me know if you guys make a version that is somewhat similar that you want me to try, and I will try it. Thanks for watching, you guys.